In 2009, the world of football witnessed some of the most extraordinary goalkeeping performances in history. Giants of the position, such as Iker Casillas, Gianluigi Buffon, and Petr Cech, were at their athletic peak, showcasing breathtaking reflexes, incredible agility, and near-impossible saves. Watching them dominate their penalty areas with unmatched skill was a spectacle for any football fan. However, as remarkable as these legendary figures were, the most talked-about goalkeeper that year wasn't one of them. Instead, the spotlight fell on an experienced veteran, an astonishing 40-year-old shot stopper who defied all expectations. That's right, a man nearly twice the age of Manuel Neuer at the time rewrote football history, breaking records in ways no one could have imagined. But for those deeply involved in the game, his success wasn't all that shocking. It made complete sense when that goalkeeper's name was none other than Edwin van der Sar. At 40 years old, the Dutch legend set a world record for the longest period without conceding a single goal, an astonishing 1,311 minutes. To put that into perspective, he managed an unprecedented 14 consecutive clean sheets, the most ever recorded by a goalkeeper in professional football. And if that wasn't impressive enough, that same season saw him keep 21 clean sheets in total, securing the Premier League Golden Glove, UEFA's Goalkeeper of the Year award, and the title of Europe's best goalkeeper, all while being the oldest player to achieve such feats. Yet Van der Sar's story doesn't stop there. In fact, one of the most mind-blowing aspects of his career is how late he joined Manchester United. Consider this: David De Gea, Manchester United's most-capped goalkeeper, spent an incredible 12 years with the club. Despite his eventual departure, leaving him in limbo as a free agent before his recent move to Fiorentina at 34, Van der Sar didn't even arrive at Old Trafford until he was 35. Yes, you read that correctly, 35 years old. And to make it even more shocking, Sir Alex Ferguson secured his services for a mere €2 million, an absolute bargain for one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Incredibly, United actually ended up paying twice what they could have. Before joining the Red Devils, Van der Sar played for Fulham, a club he had grown to love. Instead of letting his contract expire and leaving for free, he chose to extend his stay at Fulham for an extra season, ensuring that the club could sell him at a higher price and benefit financially. That single act spoke volumes about his character, a rare kind of loyalty in modern football. Yet, while many fans only associate Van der Sar with his time at Manchester United, his legendary status was forged long before he ever set foot in England. Born and raised in the Netherlands, a country where the average height is already among the tallest in the world, Van der Sar stood out even as a youngster. At 198 centimeters, he towered over his peers, earning him the nickname Scarecrow due to his lanky frame and pale complexion. But his imposing stature was complemented by remarkable reflexes and an almost acrobatic athleticism, making him an absolute menace for opposition strikers. It was no surprise, then, that a keen-eyed Louis van Gaal spotted his potential early on, pulling him from a third-division amateur club straight into the Ajax setup. By 22, Van der Sar had cemented his place as Ajax's first-choice goalkeeper, and his rapid rise saw him entrusted with the club's biggest matches. His ability to deliver on the grandest stage was evident when Ajax lifted the UEFA Champions League trophy in 1995. By the age of 24, he was already crowned Europe's best goalkeeper, and the following season, he led Ajax to another Champions League final, though they narrowly lost to Juventus on penalties. From 1994 to 1997, Van der Sar was untouchable in Dutch football, winning the Dutch Goalkeeper of the Year award for 4 consecutive seasons. During his 6 years as Ajax's undisputed number 1, he claimed 4 Eredivisie titles, 3 KNVB Cups, 3 Johan Cruyff Shields, and a Champions League trophy. In a comical twist, having accomplished everything possible as a goalkeeper, Ajax even allowed him to take a penalty in his final season, his one and only career goal. With Dutch football conquered, it was time for the next chapter. Now, imagine this. In Juventus' century-long history, they had never entrusted their goalkeeping duties to a foreign player. But in 1999, that changed when they signed Van der Sar, an unprecedented move that underscored his brilliance. However, despite being statistically outstanding, his time in Italy was the only period in his career where his reputation was ever questioned. Under Carlo Ancelotti, Juventus boasted the best defensive record in Serie A, conceding the fewest goals across 2 seasons. Yet, heartbreak followed. In the 1999-2000 campaign, Juve lost the league title by a single point, despite allowing just 20 goals all season. Then, in the final match of the season, Van der Sar conceded a decisive goal that allowed Lazio to snatch the championship from Juve's grasp. The following season, the story repeated itself. Juventus once again had the strongest defense in the league, conceding just 30 goals, but missed out on the title by 2 points. Another unfortunate mistake, a deflected shot against Roma, saw Van der Sar unfairly take the blame once more. With the club and fans losing patience, Juventus decided to break the transfer record for a goalkeeper and sign Gianluigi Buffon, effectively pushing Van der Sar out. Although he left Serie A with a solid record, 2 costly errors overshadowed his otherwise excellent performances. In football, goalkeepers are often judged not by their brilliance, but by their rare moments of imperfection. And despite keeping a flawless defensive record for the Netherlands in the 2000 European Championship, only being eliminated in a penalty shootout against Italy, his once glowing reputation seemed to fade. Strangely, despite his elite talent, Europe's biggest clubs overlooked him. Rather than signing for another footballing powerhouse, he made an unexpected decision. He joined newly promoted Fulham in the Premier League. When Edwin van der Sar joined Fulham, he found himself at a club that was a far cry from the dominant teams he had played for in the past. Unlike his previous stints with European powerhouses, Fulham lacked the defensive stability and overall squad strength to keep him in the limelight. Season after season, the team found itself struggling near the bottom of the Premier League table, and despite his brilliance between the posts, Van der Sar was frequently forced to pick the ball out of his own net. Yet, despite these challenges, he embraced the club and its supporters with open arms. He would later describe the atmosphere at Fulham as one of the most welcoming and friendly environments he had ever experienced in his career. However, to those who weren't watching the Cottagers week in and week out, Van der Sar's presence in English football seemed to fade into obscurity. That's simply the reality of being a goalkeeper. No matter how exceptional you are, without a solid defensive unit, you will concede goals. Even legends like Oliver Kahn, Manuel Neuer, Iker Casillas, and Lev Yashin would have struggled in such conditions. By the time he had spent 4 seasons at Fulham, Van der Sar was already in his mid-30s, and his name was no longer dominating football discussions like it had during his Ajax days. However, one man never forgot his undeniable talent, Sir Alex Ferguson. The legendary Manchester United manager recognized that Van der Sar was the reason Fulham's losses remained respectable rather than humiliating. A 2-0 defeat instead of a 5-0 thrashing? That was because of Van der Sar. Ferguson knew that if he could place him behind a strong defensive line and midfield, he would once again be an unstoppable force. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. Football was rapidly becoming more globalized, with improved television broadcasts, wider accessibility for fans, and a more connected audience than ever before. Now, playing for one of the most widely followed clubs in the world, Van der Sar's brilliance would finally be showcased to a new generation of football fans. What made this nearly 2-meter-tall shot stopper such a nightmare for strikers wasn't just his imposing frame. It was his remarkable combination of agility, positioning, and sheer composure. Whether facing point-blank shots or long-range rockets, his reaction time was exceptional for a goalkeeper of his size. Watching him leap through the air, stretching every inch of his wingspan to deny goal-bound efforts, made scoring against him an exhausting challenge. Even at an age when most players saw their physical attributes decline, Van der Sar remained one of the fastest reacting goalkeepers in the world. It didn't matter whether it was a swerving knuckleball, a last-second deflection, or a sudden unexpected strike. His reflexes allowed him to adjust instantly. But beyond his shot-stopping heroics, one of the most underappreciated aspects of his game was his composure. Whether he was being pressured by attackers or facing an intense one-on-one duel, Van der Sar remained cool under pressure. While other goalkeepers might panic and make a rash decision, he always seemed to have a plan. His passing ability also played a key role in Manchester United's tactical approach. Unlike traditional goalkeepers who simply booted the ball upfield, he was capable of delivering precise passes to his defenders and midfielders, allowing United to bypass opposition pressure and launch counterattacks with ease. And of course, his composure was never more evident than during high-pressure penalty situations. Many fans remember Robin van Persie as the Flying Dutchman for his iconic goal against Spain in the 2014 World Cup. But the original owner of that nickname? That was Van der Sar, soaring through the air to pull off game-changing saves. Interestingly, despite his elite performances, his training routine was far from conventional. Upon joining United at 35, his teammates were stunned by his relaxed approach in training. It was said that he would show up only a few times a week, catch a handful of volleys, and then casually tell the goalkeeping coach, "That's enough for today." Why? Because his focus was solely on match days. He had spent decades perfecting his craft, and by this stage in his career, his instincts and experience were sharper than ever. Nowhere was his genius more evident than in the 2008 Champions League final. In the decisive penalty shootout, Van der Sar made the crucial save against Nicolas Anelka, securing Manchester United's second-ever European title under Sir Alex Ferguson. At 38 years old, he lifted the Champions League trophy once again, a staggering 13 years after first doing so with Ajax. His time at United further cemented his legacy. The club reached 2 more Champions League finals under his watch, though not even his goalkeeping excellence could prevent Prime-era Pep Guardiola's Barcelona from winning in 2009 and 2011. However, despite those setbacks, Van der Sar's achievements remained legendary. In 2009 alone, he set 2 world records, kept 21 clean sheets, and won every major goalkeeping award available. He secured 4 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and, of course, that historic Champions League triumph. Even after retiring in 2011 following the Champions League final loss to Barcelona, his career remained a testament to resilience, intelligence, and pure class. But perhaps the most poetic moment of all came when, years later at the age of 45, he briefly came out of retirement to play a one-off match for his boyhood club. And, in typical Van der Sar fashion, he didn't just show up. He saved a penalty, proving that even after all those years, his shot-stopping instincts remained razor-sharp. A career filled with records, silverware, and moments of undeniable brilliance. Edwin van der Sar didn't just redefine what it meant to be a goalkeeper. He proved that true greatness isn't measured by age, but by consistency, composure, and an unbreakable will to succeed. From a scarecrow in the Netherlands to a Champions League-winning icon at 40, Edwin van der Sar didn't just break records, he redefined what it meant to be a goalkeeper. But here's the real question: will we ever see another shot stopper dominate the way he did? Or was he the last of his kind? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll uncover even more football legends next time.